Can you talk to me a little bit about after Tupac passed away? I believe everybody went to the Bahamas, and then you came back because Suge was set to turn himself in for something, not the violation with the videotape and all that, to your knowledge at that point, but that's what ended up happening. But can you tell me a little bit about number one, going to the Bahamas after Tupac had passed, and then the reasoning for coming back and what ended up happening through the court procedures for Suge?
All right, so this is what happened, y'all. So immediately after everything was going down, now Death Row was hot. Shootings going on in Compton. White folks in Tarzana is going crazy and mad and doing what you call it, community blocks. Is they doing abatements and stuff. So they're trying to get an abatement and get us all a hammer, and they all got pulled over, leaving the studio, and they were telling people from the studio. So Can-Am was hot. This is burnt. Law enforcement is on it. And they did what? Somebody called in something like a fight or something, which I think was the police line to get in the back of. We was out of town. We was in Florida, and we had a big party with a bunch of strippers and stuff at the house, and we was giving it off with all the street team. Sugar gave a big party for all the street team members and stuff, and he was, we had a big party in a house in Miami, nice big beach house, and so the police came, raided Can-Am. Those niggas back then, once the police come in something to take over it, they believe in cameras and all of that, and recordings and all that. So Can-Am was burnt. We're done. We're out of Can-Am. Nobody going to Can-Am anymore. So had my security and everything, clean up Can-Am, get everybody out of Can-Am. So Sugar's like, hey, it's too hot out here. Police following us around everywhere. Houses getting raided. We're going to the Bahamas. This guy named Chris Blackwell, who I told y'all about before, that owned Island Records. He had this recording studio out in the Bahamas called Compass Point, in this area called Compass Point. And he had a nice studio out there. And so they sent us out there to try to, because we had like 4 albums that needed to be turned in the fourth quarter. I think it was the Christmas album, Death Row Greatest Hits, Machiavelli, and The Dogfather. Yeah. So Sugar went out there and took us out there to finish up all those different albums. Oh, and some soundtracks. It was either gang-related or gridlock. So he's on a mission now to get all of these particular albums finished, and needed somewhere where he can focus and concentrate. Didn't have to be worrying about all the street stuff that was going on, and didn't have to be worrying about law enforcement. And so we went out there, kicked it, and was out there. And now David Kenner calling us about they trying to violate, Suge got to come home, because they trying to violate him for a dirty marijuana test. Everybody knows Suge was on Cuban cigars then. Cuban cigars get you just as high as a marijuana joint, I'm told. Only smoked a Cuban cigar once or twice in my life. Never hit a marijuana joint before in my life. And so I'm told that though, and so now we got to go back in. We think it was secondhand smoke if it's true, if they wasn't lying. Because, Suge, of course, was sitting in studios, and all of that marijuana was getting in the system because that's all they do in the studio. And this is prior to us going to the Bahamas. But they said one of his urine samples came back dirty. Okay. So we go back. This Suge and I, we left everybody out there. Everybody's still working, make it happen, do what y'all supposed to be doing. Because Suge is mainly in studio, just approve and make sure everybody's there. We had Roger Chapman out there. Everybody. He flew Damon Thomas, bitch ass. He flew him out there. He was the producer that last did work on Pac's album. He was new to the team. He was just flying people out there. So everybody was out there. putting them in hotels, renting houses and everything, putting them in houses in the Bahamas. So we fly home, me and Suge fly home. And now, the next day, they pull him in. Judge saying we're going to have a probation violation hearing and you have no bail. Brought him back in. So, now, David Kenner and they're talking to him on the phone. And they's like, hey. And he was pissed, furious. You think they're going to bring up that part about the Vegas thing? Suge dropped the phone. He said, and this is what Suge told me, I wasn't there. Looked at him and like, you motherfucker. The next day, in court, guess what happened? Oh, well, we found out the dirty test ain't a big issue or nothing. But we found out about this incident that happened in Vegas. And we checking into that. And this is why your probation is being violated now. We're going to have a probation hearing regarding this. Suge always, to this day, believed, and that's why he did David Kenner so cool. After that, he cut his checks off and everything. Said, you don't get paid, you don't get no money till I come home. And the reason why he did this to David was because he felt David was trying to get him in trouble where he had to need him again, because he was telling all his artists and everybody, David, we're only going to use him now as a criminal attorney. We ain't messing with him no more on the entertainment side. That's where the letter comes in where David Kenner was supposedly fired by Pac and all of that. Yeah, he was. As an entertainment attorney. Because it was a big conflict. But never as a criminal attorney. You don't fire nobody that's over your appeal bond and you're trying to get out and you go up and fire him. You don't do that. That's dumb business. But Suge was getting rid of him as the entertainment attorney. And also things like he was the one that approved the checks. His office, Tina and them, they approved the checks. They the one to call. They were the ones that dealt with Gail Fan. But now Suge brought his brother-in-law, Norris Anderson, in, and because we had somebody named Kim Brown and Roy who was like his receptionist and made stuff happen. The ones that called everybody, set up stuff. But then he got rid of Kim. Kim went and started working for Terry Carter at Heavyweight Records and Ice Cube. Kim, good girl, Kim Brown. Well, I'd love to get her. Matter of fact, her and Sharita's still tight. Might have to reach out to her for an interview. Kim is, yeah, that's somebody I just thought about. But anyway, she ended up starting working for Kevin Black too. For those of y'all that know her from the Lil Jon days and all that at Warner Brothers Music when Kevin Black was running that. She was his assistant. But anyway, that's when he brought in Norris and this guy named Calvin Tubbs, who was a USC graduate, one of the homies that grew up in the neighborhood, brother Kenny Tubbs, that y'all hear the dudes from the mob speak highly of. And that was his oldest brother that graduated from USC and all of that, who was married, or the brother-in-law to Suge's sister, because they had married the same brothers, some Tubbs. And Desi and Calvin were brothers. And Kenny, those were all three brothers. And so he brought them in. That's when y'all hear him talking about the family, brought the family in to run the company and all of that. And, oh yeah, the groupie spoke on that. Yeah, Mars did run the company. He did. For 3 months, groupie. And everybody know he was the general manager and all of that. And he was let go, I'll say that, or reassigned to home duty in July when Reggie took over. But Reggie was still around Norris months before that, helping running the company. But yeah, false information about Groupie again. But anyway, my point being was that's what happened to Suge. And We all know about the violation and the hearing and all of that.
Okay. So when Norris is running the label, number one, how do you get approached to take over his position? And what was the reaction to some of the people that were running it, that were the higher ups, before you were put in that role?
Okay. Well, prior to me, and we got to remember this is a short time. Well, Suge went into custody October of October 22nd of '96. He didn't get violated until March the 1st or February 28th, one of those days. Whatever day that shooting happened in, because I remember that took all the headlines. I remember those cops was mad. The shooting and the bank robbers, when those guys in the valley, when they dressed up and was suited up and was walking and shooting up all those cops with those assault weapons. That particular day was the same day that Suge got violated for his probation. And from that time until, like I said, June, July, the people that was in charge was Norris. David Kenner was the one running back and forth because he was the one going into prison to see Suge, and Michelet. And attorney named Paul Marshall was trying to make a deal to get some stuff done that was involved as well from New York. And so they were all the ones involved, and Suge's locked down now after he got violated. Don't think we were able to see him anymore. I went and visited him once or twice, a regular visit, but all that attorney visits and all that stuff, nobody was able to see him anymore. I don't think he went to Delano first, State Pen. That's like the reception center. He probably went there sometime in May, in April, May. And then he was there for a few weeks. Then he went to Mule Creek, CMC. And this is like June, July. And then that's when I get a letter in the mail from him. Like, Reg, what's up, man? Where you been? I ain't been hearing nothing around about you. What you doing, man? I hear you moving on and that left me hanging. Like, what? So I write him back. Hey, nigga, what you talking about? Nigga, I've been working with Michelet, driving Michelet around every day. Matter of fact, I don't want to took her to to get her the marriage certificate for you. I don't want to drove her down there to the hall. What are you talking about? He's like, man, they telling me like you left me hanging. He said, I know what's going on. He said, Reg, fill out this visiting form and come see me. This was sometime in June, July. June, maybe May, June or July. Go down there. And he said, man, these motherfuckers been hating on you, Reg. This is what we're going to do now. I'm getting rid of all these motherfuckers. Me and you about to take over and run this shit. And we ran it from then on. All Michelet's decision making was put a stamp on the check that Reg bring you. I'm sure he told her to run them by her, and say, okay, Reg sent a check for this. If it was a check made out to Reggie Wright for $100,000, I bet she was like, what the fuck are you paying Reggie $100,000 for? That's all he probably was worried about. But yeah, that's how that went.